Hello, Da Vinci, welcome back. This is Geography the 10th of February's lesson 2. So let's move on. So did you know there's such thing as a planetary scientist? So talk to you, Teddy. What do you think a planetary scientist is? There are some picture clues maybe down here. Now, this is obviously not real. This is what they think maybe the planet might look like. So what do you reckon a planetary scientist might be? Well, if you maybe thought of some ideas like a planetary scientist being someone that's like a space geographer, then you'd be absolutely right. So you can see here in this picture, you've got a geographer, someone that goes out into different places and they investigate different areas. Well, a planetary scientist is like someone that's a geographer that does geography, but for space. They investigate mini asteroids, planets, and gas giants. So do they go to space? Do planetary scientists go to space? No, don't be silly. That's the job of an astronaut. They look at different things in space and they do the experiments on Earth. Now you can see in this picture here, there's a lady that stood behind or in front of these huge things behind her, and they're actually satellites to look up at the different planets. Now, humans have never ever been to Mars. So talk to you, Teddy. How do you know, or how do we know, that the ground on Mars is rocky, dusty, red, and covered in volcanoes? How do we know? Well, we know because of planetary scientists. They've looked at the planet and they've compared it to places on Earth that look a bit similar. So what continent do you think planetary scientists investigated when they were looking at Mars? Which one do you think they investigated when they looked at Mars? Now, Mars is rocky, dusty, it's red, and it's covered in volcanoes. Which one do you think looks like that on Earth? Is it Antarctica or Africa? Which one do you think? Well, if you said Antarctica, it would be Africa. Africa, they've discovered, is very similar to Mars because it had the Moroccan desert is where they've been doing tests. So if Mars is a bit like the African desert, what place on Earth do you think Neptune is like? Now, Neptune is dark, cold, windy, and very, very cold. Which one do you think? Oh, I've said cold twice there. My mistake. So dark, windy, and very, very cold. Which one do you think? Europe, South America, Africa, or Antarctica? Which one do you reckon it's like? Well, it would be like Antarctica. Antarctica would be just like Neptune's surface because it is dark sometimes, it's cold, and it's windy. Now, each continent has features which are also similar to the planets in our solar system. Asia has the tallest mountain range above sea in the world with Mount Everest. Well, this picture here, if I just show you, this outline here shows how big Everest is. Now, there's another mountain that's most of it's under the sea, and it's called Mount Kia. Now, Mount Kia, this one is taller than Everest if it was out of the sea, and that is near Hawaii. A lot of it's underwater. But Mars has the tallest mountain in the whole solar system with one called Olympus Mons. Now, Olympus Mons, you can see, is the outline here of Olympus Mons. It is so much bigger than Everest. It's so big, you can even see it here from space. North America had a huge ice sheet frozen on top of it, and under it was some of the oldest rocks on Earth. They think it would have looked like this in this picture here before it melted. It covered the Canadian Shield, which is this picture here. It's what it's called. It's the area around Canada called the Canadian Shield. Now, how's that similar to other places outside of Earth? Well, Ganymede is an icy moon. It's one of the Jupiter's 79 moons. It has a rock center and it's covered in frozen water ice. So that's just like our Earth. So you can see how this moon is a little bit like somewhere on Earth. And the planetary scientists can do some tests on places like Earth and see what it might be like in other places in space. Antarctica. Temperatures in Antarctica are much lower than the Arctic temperatures, and they are as low as -73 degrees Celsius. That is so cold. If it's 0 degrees is when water freezes. That is 73 degrees lower than zero. Very, very cold. You would definitely freeze. Now it says Neptune being the 8th planet in our solar system, which means it's very far away from the sun. It's the furthest planet away from the sun. It has the coldest average temperature of -214 degrees. So you can see it is much colder than our Antarctica, but we can still do tests on Antarctica to see what it might be like in a planet like Neptune and whether humans could live there. Today's task, you're going to be your own planetary scientist, and you're going to tell me about what is on your planet. Now, do you remember when we created our own planet 2 weeks ago today? Tell me about what's on your planet. So we've looked at Mars and its volcanoes and its rocky planets, and Neptune, how it's freezing cold. Tell me about yours. Does it have volcanoes? Does it have oceans? Does it have craters? What's the weather like? What's the surface on the planet like? What's it like? Is it rocky? Is it grassy? Do things grow there? Oh dear. Can humans or aliens live on your planet? I've chosen some pictures here of your planet. I want you to choose some questions from here. Choose some pieces of information to tell me about your planet. You could do it as a video, you could write them down on a sheet, whatever you like. But I want you to be a planetary scientist, investigate your own planet. Tell me about what your planet's like on the surface. Thank you very much, Vinci. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.